They're two terrorist organisations battling each other on the front lines. But where one poses a threat to the US, the other serves its strategic interests. The YPG, the Syrian wing of the PKK, has been fighting Daesh with US support in Syria for years now. That's despite the objections of its NATO ally, Turkey. The YPG is the largest faction of the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, and now they've handed over territory to Assad's forces. The Manbij Military Council has given territory west of Manbij city to the Syrian regime in a deal it says it made with Russia that now gives it a buffer against the advance of Turkish-backed Free Syrian Army fighters. This deal could now potentially give the YPG a land bridge from the Kandil Mountains, the PKK's headquarters, right across northern Syria. But Turkey says moving the group from Manbij is its next priority, in an effort to prevent the expansion of a network that has taken thousands of Turkish lives.
These towns and cities belong to their people, and we have to give them back. So if the YPG doesn't withdraw from Manbij, we will attack. We have warned them repeatedly. This threat is not new.
A stern warning from Turkey to the YPG, but following through could now mean Turkey has to directly face off with the Syrian regime, or the US. Washington says the YPG doesn't pose any threat to Turkey, and has deployed ground troops in the region to prevent fighting between Turkish-backed forces and the YPG. They also say they need the YPG in the upcoming fight against Daesh in Raqqa.
Do I anticipate that there will be some Kurds in that force? Yes, I do. Mainly because, first of all, because there are Kurds from Raqqa. It's a predominantly Arab area, but there are Kurds from there. So there are going to be Kurds assaulting Raqqa for sure.
What impact will the US's relationship with the YPG have in its relationship with its ally Turkey? And is the US policy short-sighted, fighting one terrorist threat with another? Yvette McCullough, The Newsmakers.
Well, to discuss this, I'm joined by Talha Kersey. He's a Turkish security and politics specialist at the research institute SETA. And from London, Abdullah Hawez. He's a researcher in Middle East Studies at King's College. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Talha, let's start with you. The YPG grabbing hold of some territory and handing it over to the regime. How significant is that?
I think there are some repercussions about this issue, but there is no clear evidence that they are handing over the territory to the regime. So there is not a clear agreement on this. But this, if it happens, I think this will be a controversial policy, because if you look at the field, YPG, PYD is cooperating with US and regime forces are cooperating with Russia. So their policies are not in line with each other. So if this happens, this will be a tactical move, and I don't think this will long for a long time. So PYD, YPG is trying to keep its territories and does not want to allow Turkey to control this area. So I think if this happens, this will be a tactical move, and this will not continue for a long time. But in the broader deal, in the broader planning, dealing with the ISIS and dealing with the Raqqa issue is a major issue. So they are trying to gain some time to keep Manbij in their control. And previously, the American administration promised Turkey that these areas that are controlled by now at the Manbij area will be left to other forces. So the PYD will leave this area to either to regime or other opposition forces.
Okay. Abdullah, let's bring you in here and talk about the United States. So Lieutenant General Stephen Townsend says, hey, he's got assurances that these YPG forces, they have no designs on Turkey, they have nothing to do with Turkey, they don't support terrorism against Turkey, in the face of overwhelming evidence that they are the Syrian chapter of the PKK. Is the US naive, or is the US just playing realpolitik here?
Well, if I may, I want to begin with a very quick comment on the report, and then I'll answer the question. I think focusing on calling YPG a terrorist group is not helpful for the Syrian case, and it's not helpful for Turkey either, because YPG, whether Turkey likes it or not, it's part of the conflict in Syria, and they are controlling a large swath of territory, which is at least 20% of the land, and it's mostly bordering Turkey. So I think, regardless of the U.S. comment of the U.S. colonel, which I think they may just try to calm down the tense between Turkey and YPG, but that should not be the focus of Turkey's relation with YPG. I think, regardless of what U.S. thinks, YPG and Turkey should start at some point being flexible to each other and start negotiating, because at the end, YPG is a de facto force, one of the leading forces in Syria, and Turkey is Syria's neighbor. So at the end, I think they should sit in the negotiating table and negotiate, because this is the only solution. If Turkey focuses on calling YPG terrorists and YPG calling Turkey occupation force, this is not going to solve the problem, because these two are neighboring countries, and the only solution, I think, is negotiations.
Okay, so
and
let's ask Talha. Talha, as okay, hold on for a second, Abdullah. So Abdullah says it's not helpful for Turkey to call the YPG a terror organization, even though they are the Syrian chapter of the PKK. So what Abdullah is saying is essentially what the US is saying is, okay, at home, if they blow stuff up and they kill civilians, they're terrorists. But in Syria, you need to solve Syria, so can't you see them a little bit differently?
I completely disagree with this view. So YPG does not necessarily represent the moderate view in Syria, and YPG is an extension of PKK, and PKK attacks Turkey. There are clear evidence that the bombs made in YPG-controlled area comes to Turkey, and it destabilizes Turkey. So one of the major objectives of Turkey in Euphrates Shield operation is to seal Turkey's border from all the terrorist elements that are attacking Turkey, including ISIS and PKK and its Syrian wing YPG. So in the recent months, CENTCOM and some US authorities are trying to make PR campaigns in order to show YPG is a peaceful organization, but there are clear human rights violation reports about YPG, even to Kurds who are not in their view. So this is a radical organization. This is pressing and this is putting pressure on both moderate Kurds and including the other Arabs in the areas that are controlled.
Despite all of that, Talha, the US still feels, hey, we need these guys because they'll help us defeat Daesh. Do you respect that in any way, shape or form, that they're not the worst of the worst, so they're needed to get rid of the worst of the worst?
No, I mean, this idea came through the time when there was a tension between Turkey and Russia, and Turkey was unable to intervene to the field. So the US authorities argued that this is the only existing moderate authority or moderate organization that can, influence, that can take the Raqqa. But this is not true. In the Euphrates Shield operation in the last several months, Turkey demonstrated that its support for the Free Syrian Army is a very effective tool to deal with the ISIS threat. And if this coalition that is led by Turkey increases, it has potential to influence the Raqqa, even take over the Raqqa. So these policies are extension of the Obama policies. So the policies that are designed in Pentagon by CENTCOM. And I think there are no new plans on the table. And I think with the new administration, there may be much more effective plans and policies that may help to take Raqqa back.
We'll have to wait and see. For the moment, we don't see much of a difference. Abdullah, are you content with Turkey sitting back and allowing the YPG to have this land bridge from Kandil all the way across northern Syria and having this entire de facto Kurdistan in northern Syria?
See, first of all, Salah Muslim, the head of PYD, has been in Turkey for a few times when the peace process was going on in Turkey in 2012 and 2013, which that means there is a possibility for Turkey and PYD to sit down and talk. This is first. Second, I won't disagree that PYD is, even if it's not an extension of PKK, they have strong ties. This is true. This is completely true. And Syria's problem has, it's sort of interlinked with the Kurdish issue in Turkey. So of course they both should be solved together. But I'm saying it again, even if Turkey, as I know, Turkey wants YPG to go back to the eastern side of Euphrates, which means they have to give up Manbij, which means YPG will still have a lot of territory along the Turkish borders, which that means Turkey at the end should talk with YPG, as they did with Iraqi Kurds. Iraqi Kurds for Turkey were terrorists until 2007, when eventually they become very strong friends. So the same thing might happen or should happen with the case
point,
of YPG.
even if they go,
because if one last point,
sure.
one last point,
yes.
YPG are representing a large. Maybe they are not representing all Kurds in Syria because there are other Kurdish forces, but they are certainly representing some, or I would say a large proportion of Syrian Kurds. So they are representing Syrian Kurds, and they should be included in any talks.
Okay, so even if they go east of the Euphrates, you still have to talk to these guys, Talha?
Well, I completely agree that Syrian Kurds should be represented at the talks, but YPG PYD does not represent completely the Syrian Kurds. So there are more moderate elements within the Syrian Kurds, and they should be supported. So there should be agreement between Turkey and US to support moderate Kurds. And there is also cooperation between Turkey and KDP of the Iraq and Mr. Barzani. I think that may also be another tool. So there is clear disagreement not only between Turkey and US in this issue, but there's also other elements within the Syria are unhappy about YPG in that zone.
Okay, Talha Kersey and Abdullah Hawiz, it's been great to have both of you on the program. Thank you very much for joining us.